Good morning. Good morning. Welcome, everybody, to the Blacksmith Podcast where we forge men. This is our Saturday Discord Live, and we are going to jump right into our first topic. Oh, wait, let me start with the news. So, the news is I got some more shirts done, I got them ready. I'm getting Zelle set up, I have a Cash App already. Getting them set up on the I'm gonna try the Amazon store through the LLC and also the Shopify, but I will definitely take pre-orders, and which I have a couple already. I need to jot down. Anyway, today, that's all the news. We're gonna jump right in this. Today, as you can see my screen, it has Boxable up. We're still talking about Boxable now. Last Saturday, we went past the 10 minutes on the earnings call for Boxable, and then this week, I believe it was Tuesday, I went and I actually did the rest of those videos, so I can show you right here. I did a breakdown of the rest of that video. So if you want to see, here we go. If you want to see the rest of the breakdown of Boxable, here it is. So here was the Discord live right here where we got up to the first 10 minutes because we were talking about other stuff in the beginning. And then this one goes straight over the call. I did a little intro here. And then from here, we're right into it, scrolling, talking about it. There's a couple more parts to it, but if you want a full, complete, utter breakdown to the molecule of that Boxable earnings call, go ahead and get yourself some. All right, so in order to become an investor in Boxable, you only need a minimum of $1,000, which buys you 1,250 shares at 80 cents per share. Your opportunity is almost gone, my friends, because they have the calculator. I mean, the timer right here, and they're counting down. You've got 3.5 more days. This stops on June 24th. I don't know if it's at midnight. Don't care to do the math, but I'm just telling you, you have 3.5 more days to invest in Boxable modular homes. Listen, nothing ventured, nothing gained. Little risk, little reward. If somebody told me that Microsoft would be the giant that it is today at 18, what would I have done to get $1,000? Borrow it, work 2 jobs, stop buying sneakers, no more video games. What would I have done to get that money to invest to where right now my net worth might be $500,000 or more? You know what I mean? Most people's net worth is negative. You know why? Because it's hard to build wealth when all you know how to do is to create debt. I might put that on a t-shirt. All right, so moving on to the next topic. All right, we got our MVP stock over here. Hood. Not the hood, Robin Hood. Robin of the Hood. All right, so Robin Hood Market. So we always talk about Robin Hood. Robin Hood is doing phenomenal. Now, Robin Hood IPO'd, initial public offer. That's what that means. It means they went public. They were a private company that is now open to the public. Remember, before, if you were going to invest in private companies, you had to have a net worth of a couple million, and you had to be earning at least 200,000 for 2 consecutive years on your way to earning it your third year, and you had to show proof of that. Or if you're married, you had to have $300,000 worth of earnings, because if you're married, that person is going to pull from your 200,000 that you're earning, right? So they want you to earn an extra 1,000 per person. I don't know. Anyway, or extra 100,000 for your spouse. Anyway, so you don't have to do that. It's public, They IPO'd at $38 in 2021. So as you can see, they're up $40 and some change. So if we go to max right here, you can see right at the tail end, June 29th, 2021, $38 IPO. Thus, if you look at their all time, they have doubled your investment if you 106%. So if you were in it to win it at $38 and you hung on to it until now, you have more than doubled your investment. And I'm going to tell you something. The stock market was always a rich man's game because they can afford to buy volume, right? Because if you bought 3 shares at $38, great, you doubled your money. So let's just say it's $40 per share. Great, you have $120 worth of equity that you bought. That's not going to make anything shake in 2025, especially with inflation going up. The way you're going to earn more is you had 1,000 shares. Now 1,000 times $40. Now that might make something shake. You know what I'm saying? All right. Maybe I shouldn't say that because maybe that has another connotation. I don't know. That's if y'all know me at all, I'm not like that. So anyway, um, so they're having their 2025 annual meeting and they're going to answer questions. So this is powerful, folks. If you're going to be part investor of a business, then you need to be interested in. I see you, Ramza. Thank you. You need to be interested in what that company is doing. Now, they're saying that over 2,300 shareholders actually participated in this. So we're going to get right to it. There's 728 questions asked. Now, don't get gassed about the number of questions because I scrolled through here the first day I actually saw it and people were being stupid. In my opinion, if you're going to ask a question as a shareholder, you're concerned about the trajectory of the company, what's the first thing you would do before you ask a question? Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm wrong. I was going to ask a question, but you know what? I thought about the questions that I had. And the first thing I did was I came in here and I started reading.
Questions to see if anybody else actually asked the question.
There it is. There it is to see if somebody else asked the question. Thank you very much. There it is. So look, the chat is undefeated. So I came in here, right? When will Robinhood banking launch? Okay. That's all. I was wondering about that. When are they going to become a financial institution more so than just a credit card, right? Because they're already a lender if they have a credit card. So somebody already asked it. So you know what? Will they offer the same services as traditional bank, including checks? I wanted to know that. So you know what I did? Instead of asking the same question, I put a thumbs up. I upvoted it. I want that question asked, right? Will Robinhood pay a dividend or at least a one-time special dividend? I wanted that question asked about dividends. I upvoted it. When will the credit card be rolled out to more people? Now, this one I didn't upvote. So you can see I'm not playing. I was in here already. Those green thumbs up, that's me. I didn't upvote this, and I'll tell you why. This is people not paying attention before to the questions that were asked before. They answered this at the last 2 earnings calls. They said the first 100,000 people got it to enroll. I think I flashed mine. I got it. It's not. I'm just showing you, like I live what I'm talking about because they put it out. I got on the list. I got my card, so now I'm not worried about it, right? Maybe people found out afterwards. However, this is people not paying attention. Mike T is always on here. This guy right here, I don't know who this guy is, but he's a retail shareholder. I like this guy right here. He asks very good questions. But Griffin A, sorry, dog. This has already been asked so many times, and they've told you they're slow rolling this credit card out. I think they said another 100,000 people this year. They keep answering this. What more do you want? You'll get it when you get it. All right. So that's just my opinion. No smoke for this cat right here. All right. So Griffin A. Now I did upvote this one. Griffin. Does Robinhood have plans around S&P 500 inclusion? So I don't know if you guys know, but the S&P 500 drops people out of it all the time. Let me see. Let me see if I can find it. No, not stock market. I should have just kept typing. Give me my ampersand. Where we at? All right. Come on, come on, come on. Discover Financial Services was removed on May 19th due to being acquired by Capital One. So technically, they're still in the S&P 500 as a part of Capital One. Now they're a division or department of Capital One. So if that's the top 500 companies out there, then now there's an opening because there's only 499. Borg Warner, never even heard of it. Removed on March 24th and replaced by DoorDash. Look, DoorDash got in the S&P 500. Teleflex, removed on March 24th and replaced by TKO Group Holdings. Don't never even heard of them. See, this is going to make me start looking up companies in the S&P 500, right? Or it should do that with you. Celanese, never heard of it. Removed March 24th, replaced by Williams Sonoma. Never heard of it. That sounds like a financial institution, but I could be wrong. FMC removed March 24th and replaced by Expand Energy. Look, an energy company. So they must be big news. Now, so this is a very smart question. Are you guys contending or planning to get into the S&P 500? That's major news because SPY is a crazy ETF. Let me see. SPY. Come on, S&P 500 ETF. Let me show you what they're talking about. All right, talking about if you don't understand. All right, so in the last week, they're down 0.39. Last month, 3 months, got it. Year to date, year over year, 9%. So if you weren't aware, and you can look this up, the S&P 500, the stock market moves about 10% a year, right? Goes up about 10% a year. And that's because the top 500 companies are in this right here. The S&P 500, it is put together it says right here, S&P tracks a market cap weighted index of U.S. large and mid cap stocks selected by the S&P committee. The listed name for SPY is SPDR, S&P 500 ETF Trust. So they're made up of large, huge, mega market cap companies. Look, Microsoft is in it, 7.02%. You can see it right here. It breaks it down. These are the top 10. NVIDIA, Apple, Amazon, Meta, Broadcom, Google, Tesla, Berkshire Hathaway, Google. Stop right there. There's why it's earning so much, right? So that 9%, that's a lot. And then let me see. I believe it kicks a dividend. It does. It kicks a dividend right here. So anyway, all I'm trying to say is that right there is a very good question. If it gets into the S&P 500, it will get a lot more coverage. It's starting to be on a lot more people's radars, but if it gets into the S&P 500, it will be on a lot more investors, the common man, businesses alike on their radar. All right, so that's why I upvoted that. Where do you see Robinhood in 5 years? Stocks, crypto, contracts. What's the next major Robinhood move? Thanks. Well, thank you, Elias. I upvoted that one because even on this podcast, I always say I want to help men become the man that they envision themselves to be in 15 years. So you should be worried about where you're going. That's why you have two eyes, right? So you can see where you're going. Where the eyes look, the body typically follows. That's why when you're riding a motorcycle, they tell you don't look down because you don't want to follow your eyes at high speeds Uh, you know, in that situation. So where your eyes look, your body follows. You got ears to hear the surrounding area on where you're going, right? Or where you are. Your ears can hear. They have a distance. So that's very important. I want to know because and I'll tell you why. They don't feature every stock on Robinhood. It's not listed on Robinhood. So I want to know if you're planning to add more stocks. They don't feature every cryptocurrency. I want to know if you're going to add more cryptocurrency. Crypto.com has more, and Coinbase, being the leader of crypto, has more. Contracts. I want to see more options. We were asking about options. We had somebody come here and teach and run a clinic on options. So I do want to know what the next major move from Robinhood is. And as you know, they're going to bring probably Vladimir Tenev, the co-founder and CEO, and they're probably going to bring, I forget his name, Jason, the CFO. There he is. I think his name's Jason. I could be wrong. He could be wrong, could be wrong. All right, now moving on. How long until you get through 1 million credit card signups? Not interested. Don't care. They're going to get there. What will Robinhood do? Will Robinhood do a 2-for-1 forward stock split? So they're asking about a stock split. So right now, Robinhood, I don't want to come out of it. Let me use this one because I already have it up. Let me go to home. This will be easier to locate right there at the top. All right. I upvoted this, but I just wanted to see if they already knew when they were going to do a stock split. Why am I concerned about a stock split? Because their stock split news will bring in more potential buyers. And when they buy, they're investing in a company, they'll drive the price of the stock up. And also, it will give me a better buying position, right? Because I have these 300 and where is it at? Should be here somewhere. 305 shares at where are we at? 1898. It's right in front of me. I'm just speed reading. My eyes are going all over the place. So I have 305 shares at 1898. I don't want to buy at $78. The stock is too high for me. I got in way earlier, right? So now if it's stock, let's say they say at 80 bucks, we're going to split 2-for-1. That brings the price back down to 40. So if I start buying, that's a much better position than $78. So I could get 2 shares for the price of what I would have gotten for 1 if it splits. So yes, I am concerned about a stock split. That's why you should be concerned, because Robinhood right now, if you notice, it's at its 52-week high pretty much. It's you don't want to buy near the 52-week high. The time to buy was when it dropped into the 30s back around April or May when the tariff stuff got announced. That was your time to buy. If there was any time in recent history for this stock, that was it. So a stock split, that is something I'm very concerned with because it'll help push your equity up. All right. Let's deal with another one. I think I only upvoted this last one. When will custodial accounts be available so we can teach our children how to invest? Listen, if you know me, I've got quite a few children to worry about. I don't know why my eyebrow is it up. I don't know it flares at the end sometimes, make me look devilish. Anyway, um, I'm worried about this custodial accounts because I definitely am going to, whether or not they ever introduce custodial accounts, am going to teach the kids how to invest. Mom and daddy could only teach me what they knew, and they done did good, right? They done did good. My mom and dad, let me explain this right now. Let me give a shout out to both of them. My dad has since passed on a couple years ago. And may he rest in peace. Mama's still around, but they did something that a lot of people are not willing to do. Checking my time. Okay, I'm good. All right. So they taught me the fundamentals, right? And you have a lot of people out here, let's use martial arts. They want to be throwing elbows, and I'm not going to do it, but because I may fall and hit all my equipment down. But, I'm 39 now, but they want to be out here throwing roundhouse kicks and all that kind of stuff because it's flashy and that's the moves that knock people out and they want to they want to get in there and mix it up, right? But they never learn the fundamentals, right? They you go ahead, throw a roundhouse kick in a fight. You may miss or barely hit somebody or not knock the teeth out of their mouth like the move was designed to do, because and then you fall down and you get stomped out. So you just lost the fight, right? And I'll tell you why. You didn't learn the fundamentals. The first thing you do when you go to learn martial arts, they first of all, they tell you that the lowest form of martial arts is fighting, right? That's part of the fundamentals. But the first like physical thing you're going to do is stretch. You have to be limber. You have to be able to move your leg, your arm, your shoulders, your hips into position to be able to do the moves they're going to teach you later. So you have to first stretch. It's going to be very boring in the beginning, but you should be stretching with the anticipation that you're going somewhere with this and it has a purpose. The second thing they're going to teach you is balance. If you ever seen the old kung fu movies, they'll teach somebody's standing on one leg for an hour at a time and they got to keep their balance, and you haven't mastered it until you can stand completely straight. If you're bobbleheading it, you're not, you didn't learn balance yet. Those muscles got to stand there and they've got to strengthen stabilization, right? Then they're going to teach you stances, right? Stances. Where should your feet be? You can't see mine. Where should your hands be? But crane, lotus. I don't know if I'm doing it right, but you get what I'm saying. They're the tiger. I don't know, but they're going to teach you stances, right? If you didn't learn all of that, then you didn't learn any of the fundamentals. You just want to get in there and start kicking. And I'm sorry, but they say, the infamous they, failure to plan is planning to fail. So we're not going to do that. So custodial counts. We're going to teach our kids the fundamentals. Hopefully that is your objective, because listen, what you can't do, what you shan't do is say, oh, I wish they would teach our kids in school. You can't leave it on they. You can't leave it on the school. If you want them to be good with finances, then you teach it to them. If you want them to have a good relationship with money, you teach it to them. Mom and daddy did a good job teaching me the fundamentals. It's up to me now to go learn flying knees and cross kicks and all that kind of stuff. I can go learn the advanced stuff, and I have. But now I can teach my kids the advanced stuff, and then they can take what I taught them further, right? Anyway, let's go over like 3 more of these, and then we're going to move to the next topic. So here we go. When will we get a dividend forecasting tracking tool? This is a little different than when are you going to offer a dividend. I didn't upvote this one because I don't really care so much about that one. Not that it's not important. I just don't, if they only go over a certain number, they're not going to give you 10 hours, right? They're not going to do it. They're going to give you an hour or two of answering questions. And some of these are going to have a lot of information. So I'm not going to upvote everything. If I had 5 questions to be asked, that's 2, 4, 6. 6 questions to be asked. I don't want this to be one of them. How long should I expect to wait for banking service to be open to gold members? That's pretty much asking about the banking up there. But he wants to know specifically to gold members. When they talk about the banking up there, I'm guessing they're going to already talk about when it's going to come to gold members, just reading in between the lines, right? How is Robinhood implementing AI and expecting AI to become an integral part of investing? That's actually a smart question. Again, if I had 6 to be asked, that ain't one of them. For primarily a dividend investor, what tool is Robinhood planning to help track? Okay, so let's stop right here. Varang, right? Or Vodong, however you want to say it. That's what this cat, Jeremy J, just asked. You're asking the same thing. Let's pay attention, people. You're wasting their time. Matt S, will Robinhood issue its own yielding stablecoin? That's a good question. If I had 6, that ain't one of them. When will Robinhood offer 401k options? It does offer an IRA already. So if that's what you're asking, Benjamin F., I already have an IRA through Robinhood. They offered that a year year ago. I think it was a year ago. I got it. Listen, some of y'all just need to turn your notifications on, right? Stop having YouTube and IG and TikTok with dancing videos and stuff be the only thing that comes on with notifications. Turn your Robinhood notifications on. You should be uber invested into what Robinhood is doing. They send these notifications out. Some of y'all aren't paying attention. Some of these questions are just, they're head scratchers. Let me do it so y'all understand. Uh, any possibility of adding features like sending stocks and gifts to others? Now, this one, I'm actually interested in this. This could increase user base for a hood as well. I agree with this one. This one is good. If I had 7 to ask, this would be one of them. Because my wife has a portfolio as well, and I wanted to send some stock to her to kind of liquidate my portfolio. I was going to put more dividends in. She only has dividends in hers, and also we have a son that's 18. I was going to send as a gift, instead of giving him money, I was going to give him some shares at the price I bought them though. So he could start his investing journey. He's 18. The one thing he has that we don't have, or I'll use myself, he's got time. So when you're talking IRA, compound interest, he's got time for it to compound. I've got less time, 2 decades less. Actually, I'm 21 years older than him. Anyway, any plans to add health savings accounts? Not too concerned with that one. Not that it's not important. I'm just not too concerned. Can there be a button on our app to hide account or cash balances? It would be great for privacy in a public setting while still being able to check the market. What's your name? Corey P. Corey P, look at me. Look in my eyes. Look, dog. Let me tell you something. No one is responsible for the privacy of your account if and where you open it. If you want to open it in your apartment, in your house where nobody else is there, great. If you want to open it on a corner in Manhattan, there will be no privacy. What kind of question is this? If you had 7 questions to ask, this is it, and then you call him the best CEO, I think, you know what? I know why he's the best CEO. He's not going to answer that question, and I pray to God he doesn't. That's dumb. All right. I'm sorry. I just had to get that one up. What is that? What is that? Dude, just be mindful of where you're opening your account, dude. Like, what? Are you serious? I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Corey. I'm not, but I am. All right, Emmanuel, when can we expect to be able to invest in fixed assets like CDs and bonds? Okay, this is a good question. However, this goes along with the banking question. If you read between the lines, there's a lot of double questions. I'm not going down. It only goes down this far before show more. So we'll go to the bottom of this and then we'll move on. However, this is a smart question. I'm not upvoting this because who offers CDs and bonds and stuff like that? A bank. They already asked about banking up there. So before they get there, they can't get here. You first got to start the bank before you can start the CDs and stuff. More than likely, that's what they're going to do, right? Not a dumb question at all. Just if I had 7, this wouldn't be one of them because they're going to hit on that with the banking. All right, will Robinhood issue a dividend? Here we go. Griffin. Look in my eyes. First of all, you spelled Robinhood wrong. Second of all, they already asked that, dog. All right. Will Robinhood be planning to expand into mortgages? That's a great question. If I had 8 questions to ask, that would be one of them. However, I'm not going to upvote this because the banking one is more important, because when they hit on banking, they're going to talk about all the products that they offer. Why do I know this? Well, one, they already talked about banking in the earnings call and what they were going to start offering with it. So I know when they talk about banking in the future, that's what they're going to talk about. And if you were going to start a new venture, a new avenue, or put a new root down in the ground of your company, you would talk about what you're going to offer, right? So that's not a dumb question. If I had eight, I would upvote that out of all the ones I've seen. Thus, I'm not asking any questions. I just upvoted the ones that I care about. All right. Chat, y'all have anything on this before I move on to the next subject? Anything you would want to ask that may be already covered in here or anything like that, or may not be covered in here? Five, four, three. All right. I guess not. All right. Moving on. Moving on. All right. So our next one, I did that just to delay to see if y'all was going to ask something. All right. Now, the next thing we're going to cover, investing. There's considerable risk when investing, right? And I am not licensed. My opinion, and the way I see things is my own. I think it's highly professional, but it's unlicensed. So if you invest in something, don't try to sue me if it doesn't work out, because in fact, I'm not licensed. But here's my thing. It's not that I don't think I know what I'm talking about. I bear the burden and the responsibility if I'm getting on YouTube or Discord and talking to y'all about stuff. I'm not trying to tell you something that's gonna that I only want to tell you about the stuff that's going to pay off and hit pay dirt and pay dividends, like literally, and stuff like that, because there's no money in it for leading me astray. There's no reward in that. There's also you feel really bad if like an investment doesn't work out for you. Well, you may be talking to people with less capital than you and helping other people lose their money. Well, retailers already do that. Ads already do that. Products already do that. Home name brands like Nike already do that. I want to help people earn money. So I bear the burden and responsibility of helping, but I'm just saying I'm unlicensed. I have to say that, right? But I want to play this video right here. Investing does have considerable risk. You should do your own homework. But if I'm telling you stuff, I'm not just a floating head. I got shoulders. I'm not just a floating head on the internet. I'm showing you what I'm looking at, right? But a lot of people are going to say, well, I don't have the money to invest. So I want you to listen to this and tell me what you think.
I never made over 740 an hour before joining the Army. I worked at McDonald's, I worked at Dillon's, but it's called Kroger here in Atlanta. And then I also worked at a daycare. I used to literally rock babies to sleep. And then I used to work at Walmart. That was the last job I worked at before I joined the Army. I was a cart pusher. That was from ages 16 through 18. Then I joined the Army. That's me, fresh face, fuzzy. As you can see, I have no rank. I was getting paid $550 bi-weekly. I mastered a lot of weapons. That's me shooting a machine gun. I mastered both rifles. It's called an AR-15 in the civilian world, but in the Army we call it M4s and M16s. And I was a computer nerd in the Army. I was a 25 Bravo information technology specialist. I was on my way to get my top secret clearance, so even without investing or anything, I was still going to make six figures outside of the Army just with this job and then the certifications I was getting. And I was the best in the unit at what I did. I would deploy satellites. I would stop hackers from hacking our system. I knew coding. I knew all of that stuff. I don't forgot all of that since. I got out March 20th, 2020. I was a millionaire before I got out of the Army because I was investing. So right before the pandemic hit, January 2020 is when I had $1 million, not net worth, cash. So that means I was probably worth more. I was a millionaire in 2019 if we talking about net worth. I never made over 740 an hour.
All right, let's stop that. Sorry. It is probably echoing back because my speaker's right near my mic. Sorry about that. But hopefully you could hear what he was saying. So he said he never made above 740 an hour before he joined the military. He was in the Army, I think, just for 4 years. But there's a couple things he said there that was key, right? He said he had a myriad of jobs before he joined the army, and still he never made more than 740 an hour. Um, but he also said that he was in IT, in information system technology. Well, tech, I don't know. An IT nerd, I don't know. That's not respectful. Let's go back. Information systems technology. That's what it is, right? IT is one of the most highest paid jobs that you can get. Top 10 every year, right? It is always going to be needed because it moves. When technology moves, it moves just like that. Thank you, Ludacris. So I heard what he was saying. He said he was on his way to getting his top secret clearance. He probably got out. That's probably why he didn't say he got it, because he got out. Um, so now you know ITs can get top secret clearances, right? I knew that because they're also, that's a job in all branches. They all have ITs. So Navy has them. I've worked close with them. So top secret clearance. If you're a civilian, what does that mean? More money, more trust with the secrets of the company, more money. Then he talked about he was the best at his job. He stopped hackers. He knew coding. Pay attention, guys, right? Don't just work a help desk, right? Don't just work a help desk. Learn to code. Learn to stop hackers, networking, and stuff like that. He listed off, he basically audibly told you his resume, right? And he spoke for probably a minute. Even the stuff he did prior to the military is part of his resume. But he also said with the credentials and certifications he was getting. So not only did he have a job in the army being a soldier, right? He's a soldier first. He was in a trade, IT. He had he was doing networking, stopping hackers. He was also doing coding, and he said he was also getting credentials and certifications. He didn't mention a degree, but what else are we missing? Experience. And that's the one thing that's locking people out of the kingdom nowadays in 2025. Remember, we can't bring old solutions to deal with new problems. I hit that two-step. Y'all saw that? So anyway, we can't bring old solutions to deal with new problems. You can't just get in with no skills, work a job for 20, 40 years, and then retire, get a pension. That's dead. Dead. DED, it's dead. Don't worry about it coming back. We shouldn't even be planning on that. He talked about what he just did in 4 or 5 years worth with his service in the Army. He could have gotten out and got an IT job, but I wanted to play this next one. Hopefully it echoes a little.
I used to be a barber.
Less.
Look at my cuts. Everybody came to me of all races, and that's what I got
Is it
popular
echoing
for.
bad?
And that picture right there is what really took me off. All of this is in my barracks room except this one. This was a house call, and I was doing for cheap. Like, I was only charging $10 for these cuts because I wanted to big meech the game. I wanted to be cheaper and better. I knew that if I was cheaper, the soldiers had no choice but to come to me. I was making $3K a month no matter what, sometimes $4K. But what I would do is I would take that $3K and then put it into the stock market, 100% of it, and I would live off of my army money. And this is where I learned marketing from. I put this on a bunch of yard sale pages around the community. Sometimes I would even pay the people to advertise. All I had to do was like 5 of these. And sometimes I would have to stop. My clientele will overload. So when people are like, why did you keep throwing in $3K in the stock market? I'm like, because all I know is I just got to post this and it's a wrap. That's me before I go to the bank to put it in. That's just 1 month worth of work. I used to be a barber.
All right, let's stop that. Okay, this young man right here, his name is Aristotle, and he has the Honey Drip Network, right? Honey Drip. He is from ATL. I found this guy from Earn Your Leisure. Earn Your Leisure's been around for 5 years now. He was on there within, I think, their first 2 years. He is already a millionaire. He was already out of the Army. I think they started Earn Your Leisure in 2019. He was on there 2020, 2021, somewhere in there. When they started interviewing people, which is where I'm looking to take this podcast now, is interviewing people. However, I found him from there. This guy is legendary. He's younger than me, but he's way wealthier than me, but he played the game different than I played it. See, he had my mindset as a teenager. Well, I'm 39. He was like 14 with the same mindset. He didn't know as much, but his mindset had already been changed from 9 to 5 work. And that's so often what we get in the habit of doing is we get taught 9 to 5 and we cannot come. That's the only thing that matters to us. It's the only way we can earn money. It's the only way we can earn a fortune. It's 9 to 5. And that is wrong. That's absolutely wrong. There are some people who will gain wealth working 9 to 5. That's where most people are going to gain it, if they gain it at all, is 9 to 5. He started 9 to 5 and then went military. But it's the stuff he applied from 5 to 9 that made him a millionaire in his 20s. Now, if you're listening to this and you're a teenager, get it out of your head that you're going to be a millionaire in your 20s. Don't put that pressure on you. Don't put that evil on you, Ricky Bobby. Nowhere on planet Earth in any time in history have the average 20-year-old been a millionaire. This is America. This is the 2020s, right? It's a different world out here nowadays. But if you're earning $10 an hour, $15 an hour, and you're living somewhere where your cost of living is not that high, you're on track. You're on pace. It's the stuff you do. Forget 9 to 5. 9 to 5 takes care of your bills. But it's what you do from 5 to 9, either before work and or after work when you get out at 5, right? Either you're picking it at 5 a.m. to 9 a.m. when you have to be at work, or 9 to 5, 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. when you're out of work. See how I did that? I said and or. You have to work more than what you plan to do just for a 9 to 5, right? It's not their job to pay you a living wage where you can buy a house, buy a car. Those days are over. It was their job in the 50s. It was their job 100 years ago in the 20s. Oh God, we're in the 20s. It was their job in the 20s. It was their job in the 30s. In fact, the Rockefellers weren't doing that. And people were getting burned in their steel mills and stuff. This is where unions came from, right? Because the workers went on strike. We're not making any steel until you shore up your business practices. The Northeast, union-based. Go up to New York, go up to Jersey, PA, go to Massachusetts. There's unions everywhere because the small man is not, their voice is going to be heard. And that's what unions do, right? Now, businesses, I ain't going to get into all of that. Anyway, get what I'm saying? So when it comes to your trajectory, you get to change that. Don't say they pay me $15 an hour, so all I can make in a year, yes, unions everywhere. All I can make is $31,000. They pay me $20 an hour, so all I can make is $41,600. I don't have the money to invest. Oh, but ye of little faith, your ex gonna give it to you. All right, so plussing up your income, I had pulled that up, but let's say people tell you they don't have the money to invest. I want to deal with the time because I've been told I don't have the time to learn all this stuff. Oh, you don't? Well, let's just see. How many hours in a week? I give it to you. 168 hours per week. If I gave you 40 hours to work, that leaves you with 128 hours. If I gave you 56 hours of sleep a week, that's 8 hours a night, right? That leaves you with 72. I'm beast mode with this. And if I gave you 10 hours to, I won't say it how the military says it, shower, shave. Let's put crap. It rolls off the tongue. That's nasty considering what I'm talking about. But y'all get what I'm saying. Shower, shave, and commute to and from work. So 2 hours Monday through Friday, right? That's 10 hours a week. I'm just going to put commute / get ready for work, but I'm not putting that. That leaves you with a grand total of 62 hours. And look, folks, my question for you is what do you do with your 62? Let's get it. What do you do with your 62? Now, in the chat, if you would be so kind to run this equation, run this on yourself and tell me what your 62 looks like. What am I saying? I'm saying your 62 might not absolutely be 62. Let's say you get 6 hours of sleep a night. So you're going to give back to your 62 is going to plus up, right? You're not getting 6 hours. You're not getting 8. So instead of 56, you would put what? 7 days. So you put 42. So you'd get back what? 14 hours. So yours would be 76, which is even worse. The point of this is to account for every hour. Now, conversely, let's say you work 60 hours a week, you'd only have 42 hours down here, right? That you need to account for. So let's go what the average guy tells me his 62 looks like. You want to see? In his 20s, mid 20s, young 20s, or teens. Here we go. What do you do when you get out of work? Well, I go home. Okay. What do you do when you go home? I play video games. How long? I don't know, like 2 hours. 2 hours? That's it? So you get out at 5. Let's say you're home by 5. You went. Do you set a timer to 7 o'clock? Oh no, I don't set a timer. So do you play while you eat dinner? Yeah, sometimes. Sometimes. Most of the time. Do you turn it off when you go to bed? Yeah, I typically do that. So let's just put. And when do you go to bed? 5, 10. 10, 11. About 11 o'clock. So you get home at 5, you go to bed at 11, and most nights, let's say 5 days out of the week, you're playing video games. They'll be like, yeah, okay. So let's do. So if you got home at 5 and you went to sleep at 11, that's 6 hours. So 6, we said 5 hours a week, right? So that's 30. So that's 30. That leaves you with 32 hours. What else do you do? I don't know. You don't know what you do? 32 hours unaccounted for that week and you don't know? I couldn't tell you, man. Okay, let's go with that. That's excellent. So 32 hours a week, right? Times 52 weeks a year. That's 664 hours. Divided by 24, that's 69 days total. Total, 69 and a quarter. So 69 days, 8.5 hours. Let's do the 0.3 repeating. 69 days and 8 hours that you can't account for. You might as well not exist. You don't even know what you're doing. And I know what it is. And then I'll tell them, open up. You got IG? Oh, yeah, I got IG. Open your IG. Okay. I don't even care what your algorithm shows me. I do, but I don't want to see it. Hit those 3 lines or however you get to it now, because I don't even open IG in a week. Go to your daily usage or screen time or whatever it says. Then you'll start seeing 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours. A day? Yes. Go to YouTube. Let's check the screen time. Go to TikTok. Folks, those are old dance. I can't dance. Anyway, you get what I'm saying. When you start adding up the screen time, their eyes start getting wide because they never even thought about. They're on social media most of the day. Just they wasting time. I like to look at it like this. Imagine some drool coming out, which is totally disgusting, and it's right above my keyboard. So if it dry, it might fry everything. But like, I like to look at it as zombie mode. They just right? Because it's mindless scrolling. It's just wasting time. So when you tell me you don't have time and you can't account for 69 days out of your year, I can't hear you. So what that brings me to my next point. You have time then to get another job. If you're working 40 hours a week, if you're working 40 hours a week, I guess I have to add to this one. I don't know how to start a new one. Wait. Right here. Bam! So if you're working 40 hours a week, so I looked this up before and you will see different things all over the place. So let's just go based off of what I found, right? I see you, chat. I'm going to come to you in just a second. So I found the average young man makes 17, or the average man is what I put into Google, makes $17.94 a year. So now if they're working 40 hours, I know it's 37,000 and something. I did a short on this, actually a couple of them, because they want to talk about some dumb 100 men versus a gorilla. And I said, well, how about 100 men's paycheck who don't invest? 100 men who don't invest paycheck versus one inflation. People look at me like I'm crazy when I say this stuff, but I'm not crazy. I just care. It's the other C. All right. So there you go. So $37,315. If this right here is not making ends meet for you, my dog, my dude, then you know how you fix that problem? Can you work overtime? You can. Oh, that is great. Let's talk about it. Talk about it. Talk about it. Do. All right, here we go. All right, that's $17.94. Let's say you're working 60 hours a week. Can you do that? You have the time. We just saw it. 69 days, 32 hours a week, unaccounted for. So let me show you how this is going to go. Your 62, 30 of it was video games. So let's not mess with the video games. Me too, but I'm going to talk about that. So let's say you, yes and no. We're going to talk about that. So you have 32 hours besides the 30 that you give away to video games, right? So with that being said, let's just say that you work 60 hours a week. So remember it was 717, I think, before. Oh, sucky now. Look, that's an old term. I'm 39. So now look. Now you're earning $55,972.80. Okay? Let's say that let's say you work double time. You were just there all the time, working all the hours. You worked 80 hours. Look, I think your money problem's solved right here. Now you're earning, you went from 37,000 to 74,000. You doubled your salary by doubling your hours. Now, what was said in the chat is I would rather work 2 full-time jobs. So let's say you had, this would work out the same way, or another job. I think it was another job than working overtime. But this would shake out the same way pretty much if you're earning the same. 20 hours on another job at $17.94 part-time is going to add up to the 55 if you did 20 hours a week. But this is what I'm saying. Find the money to invest. Find it. Because the great, not yet late Warren Buffett, he's 94. He'll be 95 in August if he makes it. He said that if you do not find a way to make money while you sleep, you will work until you die. If it was Jordans, you'd find a way to buy them. If it was a $200 pair of jeans so you could be flashy and sporty, if it was a Lexus, you'd find it used just so you can drive around with the L on the front. if it was a Drake concert, the Migos, whoever you listen to, I don't know why my voice changed like that. If whoever you listen to, if it was a concert, you'd find the money. Then find the money to invest. Invest in yourself. And that's what we're going to talk about is plussing up your income. I got to roll through this because I can't really go over an hour. So, all right, here we go. Pre-order. All right. This was from before. This is today. All right. So, ways to make passive income. The chat is undefeated over here. I'm going to tell you that. First of all, ways to make passive income. Here we go. Unskilled labor. Unskilled means you don't have a hard skill. You don't have a soft skill. You're driving. Uber, Lyft, pizza delivery, part-time jobs, cashier, backroom stocker, etc. Skilled. Okay, so let's say you had a credential or a certification or even a degree in data entry or computer science or something. Typically, data entry level like Excel, database entry, or trade work often requires college certifications or licensing and insurance. Trade work, if you're young enough, you're just out of high school and you don't know what you want to do, let me tell you something. Look at Job Corps. Look at Job Corps. Because if you want to stay out of you want to know how most Americans have a negative net worth, going to college. If they went to college, college did it to them. If they didn't go to college, credit cards, using them the wrong way, buying stupid stuff like a new car. Why do you at 20 years old need a new car? You don't. You may need wheels. Some of you don't even need cars. Some of you live in inner cities like New York and you're trying to buy a car. Bro, you better take that bus. You better take that bus and save your money. Call an occasional Uber or cab if you need to. Take that bus. Wait at the bus stop. You know what you could work on while you're waiting for the bus? Use a hotspot on your phone, go to an internet cafe or something like that, and you can start working. Go to Intuit, get one of those free classes, and get into it. All right. So websites like Gig Offer, Fiverr, all this kind of stuff. Look, dividend yielding paying stocks. Now, this is a way you can build passive income very easily. I've talked about that. Got a whole video about that. Get a part-time job. So now I think the reason why it was said I'd rather work another job than work overtime is because when you work overtime, your pay increases. You get time and a half, which increases your taxes. And I think and W-2 gets taxed the most. So let me see. Martial arts, stretching, yep, echoing bad. Sorry about that. Unions are everywhere. Yep, correct is what was said. Yep. So it does increase your taxes. Now, I didn't crunch the numbers to see, but let's see. If you 17.94 times 0.5, 897 plus 1794. So when you were working those 20 hours, that's what you would earn per hour. So your taxes would increase. It's still increasing your paycheck, your gross, but your net is not. Well, your net is going to go up too. Your gross and your net, before taxes and after taxes, what you bring home, but it's going to increase your tax on W-2. So you would really have to crunch the numbers to see if it would be worth it for you. So why am I talking about this? Look, folks, case in point, you need to find the money to invest. I don't want to hear no more of this. I don't have the money. And please tell me you don't have the time. I will break it down to you. I think this past week, I broke this down to 3 different gents at the gym. Yesterday, I broke it down to a 52-year-old guy. He already understood it, but even when I broke down the 62 rule to him, he was like, oh, I saw it hit him too. Rock 'em, sock 'em, baby, because it's undefeated. It's just logical. If you can't tell me where your time is going, it probably ain't going to much. It's just not. What you consider, that 62, the average guy would consider that their free time. But that time is not free, it's being paid to something. And this is what I said to the 52-year-old guy yesterday. If you're paying it out, if you're making it rain on Call of Duty 5 hours a night, 5 days a week, guess what? There's no return on investment on the most precious commodity you have that you cannot get more of, your time. Call of Duty is giving you no return on investment. I'm not saying don't play video games. I'm saying limit yourself. Everything in moderation. Guess what? Water's great for you. Your body's made up of 70% water. Your cells are mostly water. But guess what? If you drink too much within an hour, you can die from flooding your organs out. Everything in moderation. If you breathe in pure oxygen, I believe you'll freeze your lungs. DED, dead on arrival. I'm just playing, that's DOA. But get what I'm saying. You're dead. The DED thing, yes, I know how to spell dead. It came from a Mel Brooks movie, Robin Hood Men in Tights. And it was a play, it was a parody of The Godfather in this one scene. And the guy was like, Robin Hood is going to be DED dead. And most people don't know that, but whatever. Let me see. What do you got in the chat? I see my week 56 to 72 approximate hours, depending on if it's. Are you talking about how many hours you work? Or is this your 62? This can't be your 62. I know who you are. Yeah, how many hours you work. Oh, wait, 62? Your 62 is 56 to 72? Okay, listen, I'm saying, okay, so you're saying your 62 can be 56 rather than 62, or it can be 72. So it can be -6 or +10. I got you. But all I'm saying is how much of that time is unaccounted for. Unaccounted for. So you got to subtract video games, all that stuff. Look, folks, this is what I want you to do. Run this 62 equation on yourself. And then I want you to, if you would so kindly, comment on the video when I post it on YouTube. I actually have to run today, and we're right at 1 hour and 2 minutes. Hopefully this has been a great video, and this has been good. Hopefully this gets deep down in your soul, in your very fiber, your being. Latch on to this. The best thing you can do is apply it. I'm going to tell you that right now, because knowledge is not power. Applied knowledge is power. Don't tell me all the books you read about investing in businesses and diversifying this and that, and you didn't apply none of it. It's not power if you don't apply it. How is that powerful? It's just sitting in your brain, creating another wrinkle. Great, you got the wrinkle, but your bank account does not have another zero behind it, or it's not adding another comma because you didn't apply it. Applied knowledge is power, and knowing's half the battle. Now you've gotten both out of today, so go apply it. And the other thing you can do is share it. You jump on that Blacksmith podcast, please hit that share button. On the podcast itself, you can hit the 3 dots and actually share the podcast with somebody itself. All right. I love y'all. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. I've been off since Wednesday afternoon. I'll go back on Monday. 96 for me. Anyway, I'll holler at y'all. The forge is going cold. Have a good weekend.